Hi, my name is Al-Mamoun. Welcome to this new lesson about CSS Art, in which we are going to draw Ferb, who is one of my favorite cartoon characters. First, I'd like to talk briefly about what CSS Art is. Actually, HTML and CSS are the two building blocks of web development. Let's say that HTML structures the web page, while CSS provides the styling. There is a famous example about that. HTML is the frame and CSS is how it looks. CSS art involves coding and positioning different shapes, colors, and lines to create a digital image that is built purely with HTML and CSS. While CSS art can seem overwhelming at first, once you see more examples and their codes, it will be easier to see how an image can be broken into small sections. In our example, we are going to divide Ferb into face, nose, hair, and eyes. So, if you are looking to become more familiar with CSS or get more creative with your coding, CSS Art is the best fit. CSS Art, in my opinion, is one of the best ways to learn and master CSS basic and advanced skills. So, let's get started. Hi, welcome back. Before we start coding, we need to have a text editor. You can use whatever text editor you like. Here, I'm going to use VS Code. You can download it this way. You can open the website and download the suitable version for your operation system, whatever it is, Mac or Windows or Linux, then install it. After you install it, you will have this playground. So we need to install one extension, which is very important for us. So let's search for an extension called Live Server. It is this one. So we need to install this Live Server extension. This Live Server extension allows us to launch a development local server with live reload feature for static and dynamic, as it is mentioned here. Okay, now our code editor is ready. So, moreover, we need a very small tool. It is called Instant Color Picker. You can download any of these two, the eyedropper or the instant color picker. Any of these will be okay for us. We are going to use this tool to pick colors from pictures. So let's see how it works. After you install the instant color picker ICP, you will have such a tool. So for example, if we want to pick the color of the Ferb's hair, what we will do, we are going to open this eyedropper and pull it to the color we want to pick. After that, the color will be added to this list, and you will have the RGB here and the HSL and the hash color here also. Once you click on it, you copied it, so you can paste it wherever you want and use it in your code. That's it. Let's start coding directly. Hi, welcome back. Now let's start coding. First of all, we need to create a new folder that will contain our code. So I'll create a new folder. I will call it Ferb Art. Now I want to open this folder in the VS Code, so I will open the VS Code. Then I will drag the folder inside. Okay, now the Ferb Art folder is opened in the VS Code. Let me close this Get Started button and let me open the browser so that we can see the result directly on the browser here. I will create an HTML file and the CSS file, style.css. First of all, let's write the HTML structure. So HTML5, yeah, that's it. Let's create the title Ferb Art, and let's link the style.css to the HTML file. So link style.css. Let's start by creating a container. So div with a class name container. And I'll open the live server. Now let's go back to the CSS file. I'll write my pattern that I will follow throughout this code. First, I will give the height and width. Second will be the background. Third will be the position. Number 4 will be the transform, if there is. 5 will be the borders. 6 is the extra, if there is extra thing. Okay, let's start with the container. So dot container. I'll give the height and the width. I'll make them 500 pixels. Then I will give a background. It's a purple color. You can pick it using the instant color picker. Yes, we can see it now. Then I will give a position absolute. I want to make this container in the middle of the page. So I'll give it left 50% and top 50%. Then I will make a transform, translate minus 50% and minus 50% so that we make it in the middle of the page. Okay. Let's give it a border radius. I'll make it 5%. And let's give a shadow, box shadow. I'll make the horizontal 12 pixels as well as the vertical, and I'll give it a radius 10 pixels and a color, which is a bit gray color. Now let's write the verb face. Okay, first we need to add a new div in the HTML file inside our container. I'll call it Ferb. Now we can give it a style. So .verb, height and width. I'll make the height 250 pixels and the width around 60 pixels. And I'll give the background color. I also picked this color using the instant color picker. Then I will give a position. Now you can see it, it is like a rectangle. Okay. Left, I'll make it 220 pixels. And the top 100 pixels. I'll give it border 4 pixels, solid border, and also I'll give it like an orange color. I'll delete the bottom border, so bottom border none, and I'll add a transform. I want to rotate this rectangle 5 degrees. Okay. After that, let's create verb mouth. So we are going to use something called pseudo selectors. They allow us to create content before and after our element without creating a new div. So I'll use before content. I'll make it empty. I don't want to add any text. Then I'll add the height and width as well as we do before in the previous ones. Also the width is 15 pixels. I'll add a background color. You can pick this color directly from the original image. Then I'll add a position absolute. Yeah, let me adjust this one. I'll make it okay. Let me make this one 170 and this one is -12. Okay. Then border left 6 pixels, solid, and the same color. And border bottom 4 pixels, solid, and again the same color. I want to add a radius for the bottom from the left side, so there is something called border bottom left radius. I'll make it 10 pixels. And I will use a transform called skew, and I'll make it -40 degree. -50, no, -40 is better. So now we can see the mouth is fine. Let's move on to the ear. Ferb ear. So I will use another pseudo selector which is called after, since the ear is like after the body. So the content, I'll leave it empty. Then I will add a height and a width of 25 pixels. A background, again the same background. Yes. Then an absolute position. And I'll add the top and left. Let's adjust it. 80 pixels. Okay, let me reload this page. Okay, here we have like something like a square. Let me adjust it more than that. Okay, let's give a border radius of 50% so that we can make it circular. And let's add a border, 4 pixels, solid, and the same color. Let's delete the border from the top and the left. So border top none and border left none. And let's rotate it a bit. So transform, rotate, and I'll make it like -40 degree. Okay, now the ear is done. Now let's move on to the nose. So we need to add a new div in the HTML file, especially for the nose. So div with a class name nose. Now let's go back to the CSS to give the nose the style. So dot nose, and let's give the height and width 50 pixels, and let's give the same color to the background, and let's give the position as we do in the previous ones. Let me adjust this. Okay, let's see how it looks. I wanna adjust it a bit. I'll make it 174. Okay, let's make this 192. Okay, now let's give it a border 4 pixels again, solid, and the same background. Let's delete the right border, so border right none, and let's give a border radius. I'll give it a 12 pixels, and 0 and 0 and 12 pixels. Okay, so let's rotate it a bit. I'll make it 5 degrees, and let's give it a Z index, any higher value, so I'll make it 100. Okay, now let's create a nose after, so it will be the nose line. We will extend the nose line inside the body, so nose after, and I'll give it an empty content, and I'll give it a height and width and a background. This is our pattern, background, same background, and the position absolute. And the left and the top, I'll make it -5 pixels. No, let's adjust it, make it 4 pixels, -4 pixels, and I'll give it a border from the top, 4 pixels, solid, and the same color. Okay, now I think the nose is okay. Let's go on and create the eyes. Let's create the first eye. So let's go back to the HTML file and add a new div, and I'll give it a class name eye. Now we can give the height and the width. I'll make the height 45 pixels and the width 40 pixels, and let's give it a white background and a relative position, and let's adjust the position left and bottom. Let's try to find the best fit. Okay, and the bottom I'll make it okay, no, yes, let me adjust it a bit. Okay, I think this one is okay. Let's give it a border radius 50% to make it circular, and let's give it a border 3 pixels, solid, and a black color, 3 zeros. Let's rotate it a bit, just 5 degrees. Yes. Let's create the black dot inside the eye using the pseudo selector before, and after. So first, before the text content is empty, let's give it a height and width, and a background. I believe that you all memorized the pattern right now, so it is height, width, background, position, and borders. So I'll give it an absolute position. Let's adjust the left and the right, sorry, the left and the top. Let me make it 14 pixels and 22 pixels from the top. Okay, let's make it circular, so we'll make the border radius 50%, and let's rotate it a bit, 15 degrees. Okay. Let's create the after. So we will add a white dot inside this black circle. I'll give it a height and width of 4 pixels and a background, white background, of course. And let's give it an absolute position. Let's adjust the left and the top, 20 from the left and 25 from the top. Let's make it like 18 from the left. Okay, we make it 18 and 24 from the top. Okay, now let's create the second eye. So let's go back to the HTML file and duplicate this div, and let's give it another class name. We call it second eye. And let's take this second eye and give it a CSS. So let's start with the width, 40 pixels, and the height also 40 pixels. You can see the duplicated eye in the browser. Let's adjust the position of it, the bottom and the left. Let's make the bottom 220, and let's make the left around 234. Okay, let's give it a higher Z index, any value higher than 1. I'll make it 100. Okay, they look okay. Let's create the, let's adjust the inside the inner eye using the pseudo selectors before and after. We will just adjust the position from the top, so I'll make it 12 pixels, and the other white circle I'll make it around 14 pixels. Okay, they look good. Now the last thing is the Ferb's hair. Let's again go to the HTML file and create a new div, and we call it hair. Inside this div I'll create 5 different divs. So we are going to divide the hair into 5 pieces. Okay, so let's go to the HTML, to the CSS file and give the hair the style. I'll give it a relative position and let's adjust it from the left and the bottom. And of course, let's give it a Z index so that it will overcome any other elements. It will appear on any other element. Okay, let's start with the first piece of hair and let's select the first div. This is the way we can select the first div. So there is a property called nth child. So I will choose the first child and will give it the CSS. So I'll make the width 100 pixels and absolute position, and let's adjust the left and the bottom. Let's make the bottom 40 pixels. Okay, and let's give it a border from the top, solid, and I'll give it a green color. Okay, it looks like this. Let's give it a border radius 50 pixels, 40 pixels, and zeros. Okay, it looks like this. Let's rotate it around 30 degrees. This is how we are going to create the other pieces of hair. So this will be the second child. Let's duplicate it. Let's duplicate these childs and change the rotation and the position. So I'll duplicate the first child. Okay, and let's change the position. First, let's make it the second child. Okay, you can see the result on the right hand side, and let's rotate it a bit more than this one. Let's duplicate it one more time. This is the third child. Let's change the width a bit. Okay, and let's change the position again. And let's rotate it. Okay, like let's rotate it like 130 pixels and 30 degrees. Okay, you see how it looks. Let's give the fourth child its style. Let's change the left position, and also let's rotate it less. I'll make it 20 degrees. Now we can see the hair is looking better. Let's add the fifth child, and let's change the height and the left position and the bottom position also. Look how it looks. Okay, let's rotate it less. So I'll make it like 10 degrees. Okay, the hair looks fine right now. Here we come to the end of this lesson. I hope you liked it, and bye bye.